Hello, I'm Avery Kaplan at Comics Beat.
Hi. Hello, Avery.
It's so great to speak with you both today. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I'm going to start with a deal. I wanted to know, did you have a favorite set?
Your favorite set? The set that I went to last was the zoo, because that's where Rani was sort of, and that's where Neil and I have quite a nice scene to do there as well. So when you sort of walk into the big studio space that it's in, it's very surreal because it's this beautiful zoo with this observatory like dome on the top of it, but it's sort of in a studio. And I just remember that being sort of visually very stunning the first time that I saw it, and actually acting in it was just great as well. Yeah.
So cool. Neil, so you had your goggles that were kind of a distinctive characteristic throughout the season. What was it like acting with those? Was it an afterthought, or was that something that was really a part of your character?
No, you can actually see the references that existed. That was a pre-existing condition, as it were. But Warner Brothers thinks with everything. They got me prescription glasses. So, because I've got very poor eyesight, and they made sure that I could actually see through them properly. What does happen if you keep them on for quite a while, I guess you become a little bit myopic in your way of looking at things. And I would like to reason that that helped my performance tremendously. I think I would have been lost without the goggles.
That's actually a perfect segue into my next question, which is, in a show where there were a lot of really sweet, nice characters, you get to play a character who was not. And I'm curious what it was like being kind of the villain among.
Oh, I loved it so because I'm such a joyful individual in the real world. I never get the opportunity to be bad. So I just thoroughly dove in. I wanted to be as wicked and as bad as I possibly could. Now, I'm being a little bit facetious there, but I guess at least 60% of that could be true. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it so much, and I enjoyed being in New Zealand. If your previous question about sets and whatnot, New Zealand is a set. It's just marvelous. But it was a good time in my life. It was awesome to be here, surrounded by a bunch of tremendous folk and good material. So all around, just a good experience for me.
That's fantastic. Adil, your character was not so much of a straightforward villain, and I'm curious how you went about developing that.
Yeah. I think he's just a fella who's come up against a lot of moral questions that he can't easily find the answers to. And I think I realized now we're talking about it, and maybe I'm not only articulating it after the fact, but I realized that he just had to sit in the idea of trying to figure it out. That's basically the thrust of the sort of his objective was to problem solve, and not coming up against a very easy answer. So that's, looking back on it, that's what I'd say he was doing.
Was there any particular scene that was difficult for you to film?
No, there wasn't a scene there was a couple of scenes there that I sort of felt were kind of resonated with me a bit. I've talked about them before, but there was this one speech in there that he sort of just talks about the reality of the pandemic and him being a doctor and seeing people die, and his job was to keep them alive, and how difficult that was for him to go through. And there was a moment there as I was saying the words, and all I was doing was speaking, and there was no real acting involved, and that was an insight into the whole piece. Going, this is something special. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today, Neil and Adil.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.